got shot.
I ain't know I was shot multiple times. I jumped up and ran and fell in the street. I was scared. These were the holes was at right here. 1, 2, 3. I got one. This went in and went out, and I got one in my leg too.
It has to end, and the only way it's going to end if there's some conversations among the rivalry.
We gonna get the run.
The feud that has led to Dakari being shot is with a rival gang called the Danny Mob, seen here boasting about guns, drugs, and murder in a rap video they posted on YouTube. The guns used in the video are not props.
They are Dakari's nightmare. They shot him 5 times. He healed for a month. They came back and shot him again and his pregnant aunt while he was sitting on his porch.
Though they deny any involvement in the shootings and have not been charged, 2 members of the Danny Mob, Cedric, the kid wearing the yellow hat on the right with a shotgun, and Deontay in red with a pistol, agreed to sit down with Reverend Hood and Shotgun to discuss resolving the war with Dakari.
Dakari, sit over there, because I want to look at all 3 of y'all. All right. You all going to have to work together, whatever it takes, because it's going to take a lot of talking. You understand that don't make you no punk, right? Because you want peace?
It could get squashed, but deep down inside, it ain't over with.
We really started. We can't blame nobody else. We really the ones who started.
We was young. We just couldn't really get along.
Cause we fighting and killing each other over senseless stuff, man. If you died and you could look at yourself, you would say, would I do something different? This the chance right here, man.
The first step is to get the feuding parties together in a room talking. The next step is more risky for all involved. Reverend Hood and Shotgun want people to see these kids, who were shooting at each other just days before, walking together through each other's neighborhoods.
Don't mind us, we peacemakers.
What are these that you're passing out?
Don't shoot, I want to grow up.
We just left Dakari's neighborhood. Now we're going into their neighborhood with Dakari.
When it came time for Dakari to cross the street into Danny Mob territory, he just couldn't bring himself to do it.
Why won't you cross the street with them?
Now this the block I was in tour with right here. This was one of the blocks I was beefing with.
So you don't feel comfortable going over there?
No, I'll go over there, but I ain't finna go over there. I just don't. I'm claustrophobic. I don't like being around too many people.
Okay.
He's still shell shocked.
From being shot so many times?
Oh yeah, definitely being shot. Those bullets, he took 6 of them. But this right here is therapy. This is street therapy right here.
Even among kids who don't like each other, walking like this together would be no big deal anywhere else in the U.S. But here in Chicago, where simply crossing onto the wrong block can get you killed, it's extraordinary.
This never been done, not in my lifetime.
How do you make something like this last?
This is the start. And as you keep going, you grow. So you gotta force them into this habit.
How do you really quantify their achievements? What are they going to say? Like, well, we prevented 12 murders this month. You can't prove that.
The relationship between the police department and Ceasefire has been tense from the beginning, when the organization first started using convicted felons as violence interrupters in the mid-2000s.
We trying to make sure nothing happen out here.
How about we just move?
But I'm saying, if you make some move, then you'll be a part of a problem that we're trying to solve. So if you make these guys move, you'll be a part of a problem that we're out here trying to solve.
So, what are you doing?
I'm actually working for Ceasefire, Violence Interrupted, just stopping violence. We're stopping it before it happens. That way you don't have to come out and do your job. We're trying to make your job easy.
So we don't have to come out and do our job.
There you go. Right.
City-funded Ceasefire still walking a fine line, but has some won over Chicago Police Department. I think the police have a problem. 1, with ex-offenders working this job. 2, of course they would probably want their money to be used for more police officers.
I don't want our tax money going to a group of convicted felons. It's just bad public policy, especially at a time when we need more Chicago police officers. That $1 million could easily go to hire Chicago police. You got to expect that, you know, one of these guys is going to get locked up, and, you know, they may claim to be, you know, former felons, but sorry, you're a felon, and that's that.
Somebody got to speak up for these young brothers and sisters out here.
When we interviewed ceasefire director Tio Hardiman last spring, he said the accusation that violence interrupters can't be trusted because of their past criminal records is unfair.
I run the table in a very professional way and also run it with an iron fist.
And then he ran into trouble himself. After spending the last decade fighting violence in Chicago, Tio Hardiman was arrested for domestic abuse earlier this summer. His wife eventually dropped the charges, but he was nonetheless forced out as director of ceasefire.
And you know, people are not that forgiving. So it will show some effects when it comes to funding and stuff.
With intense pressure from the police union, and now with the arrest of ceasefire's leader, the violence interrupters are bracing for the possibility the city will cut off their funding.
Stopping violence is a lifetime commitment to me, whether I'm getting paid or not.
The police trying to shut their party down.
In response to a record-breaking year for gun violence in 2012, Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel launched Operation Impact, assigning 200 extra police officers to saturate 20 of the most violent areas in the city.
We develop our strategies and our deployments based upon where crime is happening.
The man responsible for implementing Operation Impact is Chicago Superintendent of Police, Gary McCarthy.
Are you concerned that as summer approaches and the weather gets warmer, that violence is going to go up? And if so, how is the department planning on preparing for that?
I guess the answer to your question is no. We don't have a different strategy for the summer, but we will be doing more of the same things that we've been doing. Operation Impact, right? Our gang violence reduction strategy.
At this June press conference, McCarthy irritated some in Chicago when it was said he prematurely boasted about the success of Operation Impact in bringing down the number of murders.
We're down 80-something murders as we stand here, 300-something shooting victims as we stand here, this year in comparison to last year. This is why we're having our success.
Police are saying the crime is going down.
It's not better.
I did not know.
Because if it was better, in one night, 7 people don't get killed. In one night, 31 people don't get wounded. So how is that better? That's not better. It's real messed up.
This past July, the month we were filming in Chicago, turned out to be the deadliest month in over a year.
We are in Englewood, which is the south side of Chicago, which has the highest number of shootings and killings in Chicago.
Right here.
Right here.
Reverend Hood is a minister on the west side of Chicago who is often called upon by the community to conduct the funerals for victims of gun violence.
We're turning in the street that people call Beirut. And when we say Beirut, we're not just talking about the war of gun violence. We're talking about the lack of resources. There's nothing but hopelessness in communities like this. Look at all this abandoned buildings.
All abandoned.
Look at this.
It just doesn't seem like people really have much of a chance here. Like, houses are boarded up, there's no jobs, there's violence everywhere, crime.
When you create this hostile living, this is what you get, violence.
Hey, after they killed Mikey, they clapped, they gave a high five to each other. They gave a high five to each other. They're like, good job. They did a good job. They did a good job. They treat us like dogs. Treat us like dogs.
Police say 15-year-old Michael Wesley of Englewood pointed a .40 caliber pistol at them before he was fatally shot. When we arrived at his candlelight vigil, tensions were high as family members argued over whether the police or Michael's lifestyle was to blame for his death.
You live a life, you know what I'm saying, you know what happened. That was my nephew, man.
We need to be mindful that the police has a job to do. The police is scared too.
Yes, they are.
We need to know that we can't run from them. I don't care if you selling drugs, don't run. They will shoot and kill you. How can I advocate for peace and try to work with Chicago Police Department to stop violence, and now they're part of the violence?
They fight the police, they shoot at the police, you know, they don't hesitate to, if they're going to get handcuffs on them, they're going to fight the Chicago police.
Mike Shields is head of the union that represents Chicago police officers.
You know, one thing that Chicago gangbangers need to realize is that if they point a gun at a Chicago police officer, they're either going to end up in county jail, the county hospital, or the county morgue.
In less than 24 hours, Reverend Hood found himself at another prayer vigil for a victim of a police shooting. This time for a 24-year-old named Antoine Johnson, who family members say was shot in the back. The police maintain Antoine was in possession of a 9mm pistol.
You know, some people say, I understand, I don't. You all spread out around in a circle.
The simple fact that the police did this to my nephew is real crazy, because they supposed to be protecting us, not shooting at us. If he had a gun or not, you still don't shoot nobody in the back.
That's right.
Rest in peace.
He laying right there on the ground, handcuffed. What the f you handcuffing him for? He gone.
You went over there after
I'm right there, man.
You was there?
My little homie laying there. He just laying there. I want to lay right there with him, man.
Can I ask you all a question? And I just want you to raise your hand. How many of you all had somebody in your family killed through gun violence? Just raise your hand. Look at all this. Is it normal? No. It's not normal, is it? It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. But we didn't got used to it in our community. I wish I could tell you something to make you feel better, but that's your brother. You know, that's your brother. I'm seeing a lot of hopelessness now in 10, 11, and 12-year-olds that I hadn't been seeing.
10 and 11 and 12-year-olds are feeling hopeless.
Yeah, because they're watching, you know, relatives and people in their neighborhood, 12, 13, and 14 dying. We run into that every day with elementary kids that say, well, probably ain't gonna make it to high school anyway. They feel either they gonna be the perpetrator of the shooting or they gonna be the victim of it, because it's either kill or be killed.
We were invited to the church where the body of Antoine Johnson, the young man shot by the police, was to be viewed by his mother Stacy for the first time since his death. She stood in the back for nearly an hour before finally making her way to the casket.
Did you ever fear something like this could happen?
I fear that every day of my life. Every day. Every time one of my kids walk out the house, I fear it. Just pray that they come in. And this day, one didn't come in. One just didn't come down. That's it. He didn't have anything.
They say he wasn't carrying.
He didn't have anything. He didn't have anything.
And the police claim that they found a 9mm?
That's what they say.
Yeah, but you don't believe it?
No. From this point on, it's in my lawyer's hand.
The guy pointing the pistol at the Chicago police, you know, if he gets shot, well, shame on him.
What if they weren't pointing a gun and they get shot?
That's the family member's story, okay? And that's what they're gonna stick with their plaintiff's attorney, and they're gonna try to manipulate the facts. But I believe that shooting you're referring to happened at 3 in the morning at 18th and Springfield, which is probably one of the worst corners in the city of Chicago. And I challenge you guys to take your camera equipment out there at 3 in the morning by yourselves without any Chicago police officers. Let me know what happens, all right? It's a bad area. You know, people get killed there all the time. Drugs are sold there. You know, there are certain parts